You're watching Let the Quran Speak. Now we answer questions we receive from you, our viewers. If you have a question yourself, please visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. Okay, Brother Shabir. The first question is, what is the relationship between the Bible and the Quran?
The Quran, from its own perspective, is a continuation of the biblical message. So whereas God had commissioned many prophets over time, prophets like Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, now God has commissioned the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and revealed a message to him, that being the Quran. And the Quran repeats many of the biblical stories and narratives, often repeating the same moral lessons to be drawn from these stories, but also giving its own distinct flavor and emphasis to these moral teachings and ethics.
Mm-hmm. So Muslims would read the Quran today for guidance rather than the Bible.
In a way, both. In that when Muslims read the Quran, they consult also the commentaries on the Quran to understand the Quran better.
Mm-hmm.
And the commentaries do incorporate much of the biblical material, so that the biblical material serves as a sort of expansion of the Quranic stories. So what is told in great detail in the Bible may be told in an elusive manner in the Quran. So one would want to know the details, and the details are found in the commentaries, which again are dependent on the biblical tradition.
Mm-hmm. So would a Muslim be able to differentiate what exactly they should stay away from in terms of interpretation, and what exactly they what seems similar to the Quran?
Some more scholarly work needs to be done in this area, because the classical Muslim commentators did not study the Bible directly in a very intent manner. Rather, they gathered oral tradition from people who were informed about the biblical contents. And so they reported many things, some of which are accurate in terms of reproducing the Bible, some of which is not accurate. And in any case, some of what they have reproduced in their commentaries are not dependable material for Muslims to put their trust on. So some scholarly work needs to be done here to separate the wheat from the chaff, to arrive at a core of material which Muslims can safely use as commentaries on the Quran.
Okay, here's a related question. Is the biblical God and the Quranic God one and the same?
In general, we can say yes, insofar as we're speaking about the God of the Old Testament, who for Jews is a God of monotheism. The statement in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one." This is something that Muslims can easily identify with, because we believe that there is only one God. And yes, it is the same God. In fact, in the Quran, in the 29th chapter, Muslims are told to say to the people of the book that our God and your God is one. A difficulty arises with the identification of the God of the Quran with the Trinitarian concept of Christianity, because Muslims would maintain that there is only one God, and the Quran says, do not say three. And from the Quranic perspective, Jesus, on whom be peace, is a servant and messenger of the one true God.
Mm-hmm. So in that sense, there's a differentiation.
Yeah, so in general we can say that when the Bible uses the term God, it is always referring to that one God of the monotheistic deity. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of passages in the New Testament where Jesus himself seems to be referred to as God, but these are slightly ambiguous and they have been discussed. But in clearly unambiguous passages throughout the Old Testament, for example, the term God is referring to the God of Jesus and the God of Moses and Abraham and Noah, all of the great prophets. And that is the God that is spoken about in the Quran as well, when the Quran insists that there is no God but He.
Okay. Another question. How can one say that the Quran is a message from Allah when Allah did not appear to anyone in Arabia, and there is no single verse in the Quran that is spoken from the mouth of Allah in direct speech?
There's a bit of a challenge question here. Well, the idea of a prophet is not that God appears to the prophet. In fact, the Quran says that God does not appear to human beings so that we can grasp him with our physical vision. And the idea is that God inspires a prophet. The prophet gets the distinct feeling, the assurance that God is speaking to that prophet. Now, in Islamic theology, God also speaks through the angel Gabriel. So Gabriel brings the message to the prophet, and this is the Muslim belief that the angel Gabriel brought the Quran as a message from God to the Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Shabir.
You're welcome.
That's all the time we have. For updates and additional information, please visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. And write to us, because your comments and questions help guide the show. I'm Safiya Ali. For all of us here at Let the Quran Speak, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.